Hi, this is Zach Mayer with the Bulletin Board Heroes here at Zach's Traders Cafe for Tuesday, the 30th of September. Starting off with the FTSE 100, which backed off from the record high at 93.57 from last month. I think the high yesterday was a few points short, still in that channel there from June. For the channel there, currently around 92.20. Above that, we're looking for as high as 95.50 at the top of the channel by the end of next month. We had our two RSI 50 rebounds, which gave us the near record high, and that was flagged here, but obviously just the idea of going to record numbers maybe cause some people to take money off the table, but the RSI above neutral 50 still, just under 56, so in a good place for perhaps a rebound off the 92.20 zone. Worst case at the moment is got to retest the 50-day line there, the blue line there at 91.90 before heading higher. And I suppose the absolute worst case scenario would be a move down to 9400, the September support. But at the moment, looks like we are still heading in the other direction. Moving along to the DAX, and here you can see that still in a no man's land in terms of the price action between a falling 50-day line there, 23,900, and the floor of the channel, or at least the notional floor of the channel there since back in April at 23,400. RSI just below neutral 50, so really nothing much to say apart from, I suppose, buying at the support line and selling at the 50-day line. End of day close above the 50-day line is what we're looking for to open up the idea or the possibility of a move up to 25,700. Top of that channel by the end of next month. Worst case on the downside is the 200-day line, 22,800, but expecting this market just to stay within that channel. Dow is next, and here consolidating well at the higher levels on the right side of 46,000. We've been looking for up to the top of the channel there, now up to 47,900 by the end of next month. Obviously, these channels rise slowly over time. On the downside, hoping that we'll stay above the 50-day line there, 45,200 approximately. Another RSI 55 rebound, so still looking very strong indeed. If you've got the RSI bouncing above neutral 50, that tends to be an extra leading indicator on the upside. So we are looking for a move towards 48,000 over coming weeks, well, especially while we're on the right side of the 46,000 handle. The cryptos are next, and the first one obviously Bitcoin, and here dancing with the 50-day line there at 113. Still looking for an end of day close or end of week close above 118 to give us the potential prize of a move up to 132, which is the top of that rising trend channel from back in February. That we could have as soon as the end of next month if we can stay above, I suppose, the 50-day line on a weekly close basis. The worst at the moment is expected to be the floor of the channel there, currently around 109, which was obviously tested last week on quite a persistent basis. If there are any rug pulls, obviously the 200-day moving average at 104 is a potential destination, but we haven't actually been below that since April. So really expecting this market to remain within that channel rather than anything else. On to Ethereum, which has to be said has been a bit of a disappointment. We're expecting it to outperform Bitcoin, but actually in the end it actually has underperformed. Here we've got, we finally discovered what the price channel floor is, or where it is, which was around the 3820 level. Above that, got the initial target at the 50-day moving average, just shy of 4,400. Best case by the end of next month, if everything goes well, and we get a quick recovery of both the 50-day line and RSI 50 versus 45 at the moment, is to get up to 5,400 at the price channel top. But as I said, Ethereum has rather disappointed after all of the hype that we received. Speaking of hype, everyone and their mother seems to have managed to read their screen correctly and see that gold went to a record high yesterday. It's amazing how they do that. Absolutely no value at all, I would say, really, apart from obviously confirming the idea here that we were looking for this market to go up to the top of the channel by the end of next month. So the top of the channel, they're currently at 38.60. Obviously, the gold price has got there a bit ahead of time, but at least we are looking for 38.60 at the moment. And we're looking with that while we're above recent support around 37.20. On to the stocks, and starting off with something which looks very juicy indeed, Ascent Resources, living up to its name. And the reason that it's doing that, or we're saying that, is that we've had a little mid-move consolidation here, a bull flag breakout through 0.58 above that. Nothing on the chart here between 0.58 and zero point 0.8, which we are looking for by the end of next month. We already had bullish divergence, so lower lows for September and higher RSI trace, and we've got a 50-day line rising as well. So above 0.58 looks as though this is very well set indeed. One wonders what the news could be, given that this is an arbitration play. On to Avacta, which I haven't looked at for quite some time, and here you can see it's bounced off. The RSI's bounced off the uptrend line there, which has been in place since March, which is actually quite a decent and a strong ongoing signal. What's even stronger is the way that in recent days we've seen the shares actually bounce above a rising 50-day line, which tends to be a leading indicator on the upside. So probably now all it will take is an end-of-day close above 56 pence recent resistance to give us another chance of heading up into the mid-70s, the top of that rising trend channel from back in May. So we're trying to give a forward steer on that. Otherwise, people just say we're always looking at momentum plays or stocks which have already gone up, and so therefore it's not that clever. The stock which has gone up after being flagged here is Celsius Resources, and here you can see that we're heading rapidly for the top of the channel there towards 0.7 pence. We were looking for that by the end of next month, and we're still looking for that by the end of next month, giving the shares a bit of time to get there. And the other point to note, I suppose, is the way that we gapped through the 50 and gapped through the 200-day line yesterday. So it was a great start to the week, and we are following through. In terms of what the upside might be after 0.7, you can see the old 2024 resistance there at 0.8. So people are keen, maybe looking for that as a destination. The upside actually valid while we hold above the right side of 0.45. I think that would be a generous enough stop loss, or notional stop loss at least. On to Defence Holdings, which seems to be rising by the day. And here, whether they have news or not, here we've got this very steep rising trend channel, top of the channel, which has been highlighted here before, heading now up to 4.3 pence, looking for that by the end of next month, while we remain above recent support and the floor of the channel there at 2.5 pence. We've been on this basically from the start, and obviously in the recent past, the break of the 0.95 area has been a massive trigger for the upside. Onto another stock which may be giving us a decent run over the near term. Obviously, at the moment, doesn't look very good, but we do have Empyrean near the 50 and 200-day moving average levels. Given today's price action, we'd be looking for this to break 0.083 at the 200-day line in order to deliver a move up to 0.15. But obviously, today's price action so far a bit disappointing, as is the way the 50-day line is rising. Let's see if we find support around 0.055. On to another slightly disappointing situation, EnergyPathways, although I suppose it shot its load on both on Friday and Monday, so maybe a bit of profit taking was understandable, but should have really stayed on the right side of 8 pence with that news. The key support now will be Friday's resistance, which was 6.45 pence. Don't want to see an end of day close back below that. Otherwise, it would be a gap sell signal, and not a good look. And obviously, it would also be a bull trap. But really need to get on the right side of February-March resistance around 8.3 pence to deliver that move up to the top of the triangle there at 13 to 14 pence by the end of next month. Next up is Future Metal, which has behaved itself, Future Metals rather. Here we're heading rapidly for the second target there, which is at 2 pence. Looking for that in coming days while we're above the gap floor there at 1.5. So above 1.5, looking for 2 pence as a minimum there, and maybe up to as high as 3.5 pence by the end of next month, if we can get a quick clearance of the 2 pence level. 50 and 200-day lines both rising, so that is good. Looking at Gunsynd now, which where one of the more venerable commentators on X has suggested that people have missed out on all this. We've got a breakthrough recent resistance around 0.16 and have been looking for 0.2 pence plus for quite some time. Looks as though we're going to finally do it with multiple RSI 50 rebounds in the oscillator window, and also the 50 and 200-day moving averages both lining up for a golden cross in coming days. The old spike there from last August was up to 0.23. I think that would be a reasonable target there for the end of October, while we remain on the right side of 0.16. Onto a stock which is just in victory lap mode at the moment, KEFI Gold. Obviously had its detractors, but at the moment we're in a rising trend channel. The floor of the channel currently around we'll call it 0.93. Above that, we're looking at the top of the channel as high as 1.7 pence. Maybe as soon as the end of next month, given all the promises made about news coming through on project news coming through next month. The initial resistance, obviously, which was also a previous target at 1.1 pence. Above that, looking forward, quite a swift move there to 1.7 pence. The idea here is that we are in a rising trend channel, as shown by the black lines there, wide rising trend channel, and that's expected to deliver the goods on the upside in coming weeks. Next up on the list is Nuformix, where I felt that I might have over-egged the upside target, but it looks as though above 0.1 we were looking for 0.26, and not too far away from that now. Hopefully we'll get that by the end of next month, or hopefully much sooner, especially if we can get a decent end of day close above 0.2 pence. You can see there's been 2/3 RSI 50 rebounds in the last month, so that is a plus, as is the way both the 50 and 200-day lines are rising. So it's effectively a golden cross. So 0.26 looks as though it is well nailed on. On to Oracle Power, which was the top riser of the day, which was even more of an achievement considering there was no bulletin board heroes yesterday, as I was stuck in Sheffield. Current situation is that we are looking at a previous resistance zone as being new support. So ideally, while we're above the 0.05 level, looking for a retest of the 0.09 area, which is a resistance line projection from back in March last year. The worst case scenario, obviously, is that we've got to go back towards previous target there is at 0.045. But ideally, we'll get away with a bounce on the right side of 0.05 for Oracle. But what is interesting here is that the 3 RSI 50 rebounds that we had before the jump proved to be a correct, very correct forecast of significant upside. Onto a stock which I felt, or I feel, should have done rather better than it has in the recent past. Here we've got Roquefort Therapeutics, and it's hitting that line again, the top of the triangle there, around 2.4 pence. We need to see an end of day close above that to give us up to 3.5 pence by the end of next month. And ideally today, we stay on the right side of that 200-day line, around 2.13, which at the moment, it doesn't look like the shares will achieve. On to the last two. First one is TAP, and here, at a second wind of the September rally, so finishing the month on a decent note, bounced off a rising 200-day line. We've already got the 50-day line rising as well, so that is a positive. Suggests that we might finally get rid of the seller who keeps selling towards 2.5, 3p. Top of the channel there and the target there by next month, looking for 3.6 pence, while we're above the 200-day moving average at 1.8 pence. The Treasury strategy companies have had a bit of a torrid time in the last few weeks, but Bolt's had a very good move yesterday, and although it's given a little bit of it back, you can see that there is at least some hope that we can stay above the old support there at 5 pence. Ideally, we stay above 5 pence and head up to at least the 200-day line, 6 3/4 by over the next few sessions. But it's a first decent bounce for the shares since they made their spike highs through 50 pence. That's it for me today. More updates tomorrow.